Welcome back to another episode of Wrestling Fanatics, and in today's video, I am going to be reviewing February 27th Smackdown and also giving you some Elimination Chamber predictions. And we're going to see if in the Elimination Chamber match, Randy wins and we're all happy with the event, or Cody wins and we're all bored by the event and the fact that he's going to verse Drew McIntyre in the main event of WrestleMania. But we'll see what happens, and let's get into it. First, we are starting with our SmackDown review for February 27th's SmackDown. So, it started all off with us in the backstage area, seeing Jey Uso being loaded onto an ambulance, and it was just complete chaos in the back, and everyone was yelling and screaming. Nick Aldis was on the scene, Cody Rhodes was on the scene, and Jacob Fatu was yelling, just demanding to know who attacked Jey, and also, will Fatu be in the Elimination Chamber? But anyway, after all those shenanigans, we come out to the ring and we see that all the members of the Men's Elimination Chamber come out and they want to fight now, but Nick Aldis wasn't going to let that happen. And after that was all settled, we go to Tiffany Stratton versus Asuka because they wanted to have a brawl, but Asuka backs out of the match because she wants to save energy for tomorrow, so Kairi Sane takes her place and Tiffany Stratton takes the win. Another match that was on this SmackDown was Solo Sikoa versus Uncle Howdy, with this MFT and Wyatt 6 rivalry, which is getting kind of old, and the rivalry is getting kind of boring because Solo's just running around with a lantern acting like it's some championship or something. Luckily, Uncle Howdy won and they took his lantern, so that's all solved now. Also on SmackDown, we had Obafemi versus The Miz, which immediately as you saw that Obafemi was entering the ring with The Miz, you knew that it was going to be a squash match. So it all started actually with The Miz trying to take Obafemi under his wing and kind of be like the Paul Heyman of Obafemi. And let's just say Obafemi didn't want anything to do with that, and he didn't want any business with The Miz. And then it turned into one of the quickest matches of the night, with Obafemi obviously winning. Another thing that happened on SmackDown was Carmelo Hayes having an open challenge for his US Championship, and the person that accepted was Matt Cardona. And you can guess who won that. It was obviously Carmelo Hayes retaining his championship. One of the more exciting matches of the night was Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Nia Jax and Lash Legends for the women's tag match. For the women's tag team championships. And this was a pretty exciting match, and the tables turned a lot, and it was a pretty all-around even match. And actually, Nia Jax and Lash Legend did beat Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, and they are now crowned the new women's tag team champions, which sets up Rhea Ripley having a title match versus Jade at WrestleMania, because it would be weird if she already had a tag championship and also the WWE championship. So it's good that they got this title off her belt. And lastly on this show, we have, of course, Jacob Fatu versus Logan Paul, which was organized early in the show after Jey Uso was attacked. So Jacob Fatu and Logan Paul were the two candidates for taking Jey Uso's place, and Nick Aldis just wanted to decide the fight by putting them against each other in the main event of SmackDown tonight. It was a pretty fun, exciting match. The Masked Man got involved, but the interesting thing was, the Masked Man was some guy we had never heard of. The announcers didn't know him. No one knew him. They immediately took him backstage, but it definitely wasn't the Masked Man that we've seen before. And also, another person that interfered was Drew McIntyre right at the end, and that is actually the reason that Logan Paul won, is because Jacob Fatu got attacked by Drew McIntyre. So Logan Paul will be taking Jey Uso's place in the men's Elimination Chamber match, which is actually what we're going to talk about next. Let's talk about the Elimination Chamber 2026. And now let's move on to the Elimination Chamber that will be happening on February 28th, 2026. So first, let's start it off with the Women's Elimination Chamber because usually it kicks off the show. So it is going to be Tiffany Stratton versus Rhea Ripley versus Alexa Bliss versus Asuka versus Kiana James versus Raquel Rodriguez. And my prediction is that Rhea Ripley takes home the win, and she is going to verse Jade Cargill at WrestleMania 42 because that is definitely a very WrestleMania-worthy match, in my opinion, versus Raquel Rodriguez versus Jade Cargill. That's not going to work. And Kiana James, why is she even here? Like, what? I forgot how she even won her qualifying match. It was probably some, like, big surprise. And then also another match we have is AJ Lee versus the champion Becky Lynch. The Women's Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch. So my prediction is that Becky Lynch will retain this championship, as boring as it sounds, but then it will set up a rematch at WrestleMania where AJ Lee will win on the grandest stage of them all, which is probably a better stage for her because she comes and she's the wife of CM Punk, so she's automatically popular. So her at WrestleMania winning against Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship definitely seems like something that Triple H would do. Speaking of CM Punk, he has a match versus Finn Balor because he is the World Heavyweight Champion and he has to have a match at some point, unlike Drew, who just doesn't defend the title. Anyway, so my prediction is that CM Punk will retain the championship, obviously, because not only is Reigns and Balor not an option for WrestleMania, but also we're literally in Chicago, so CM Punk losing the title in Chicago and it's the PLE before WrestleMania, that's not happening. And the last thing we need to talk about for Elimination Chamber is, of course, the men's Elimination Chamber match, which is Randy Orton versus LA Knight versus Cody Rhodes versus Javon Evans versus Trick Williams versus Logan Paul. So, as boring as it sounds, yes, Cody is my prediction for winning because it's just what WWE seems like. It just seems like what WWE is going to do. Orton is great and all, but 2026, it's too late for him to have another great run, especially like a WrestleMania main event run. A bonus prediction I have after what happened tonight with Drew and Fatu in the main event of SmackDown and Cody winning the Elimination Chamber, I think instead of it just being Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre, it is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu in a triple threat, and that is going to be the match at WrestleMania 42, because I see that more being a WrestleMania caliber match, because Cody and Drew has happened, they've done that, and it hasn't been a WrestleMania worthy match. But that triple threat is definitely a main event worthy match. Put below in the comments what you guys think should happen at WrestleMania, what matches should come out of these upcoming events.